The Doom Scrolls is a podcast. It's a joke. Nothing I say should be taken seriously ever. Not even in my personal life. Everybody that watches this is, we invite you to not finish the episode. We actually invite you to watch something else. So find a safe space. Do something better with your time, because I'm gonna probably piss somebody off, offend somebody. People are gonna be like, "What the fuck is wrong with this guy? Who does he think he is? Why is there a show like this?" And uh, or just ignore it altogether, because it's pretty much the point of this disclaimer. And welcome back to the Doom Scrolls. I'm Christopher. I'm the host of this shit. I've been taking time off to work and make monies. Trying to set up the studio here. The studio is still not what I want it to be. Definitely not going to have people in here until I have everything I need to accommodate people and so that the show runs smoothly. So for now, I'm just going to do some more solo shit, kind of hang out and read some stories and talk about some of the things that have been happening lately. Get this out here. I did some. I gave the link to the show to a couple people in my personal life, and a few people actually watched the show surprisingly and came back at me. And they were like, "I liked this part. This is pretty cool. Can't believe you did that. That story was wild." Um, and then I had some really good feedback. People were like, "You're very well spoken on the mic. I didn't know you can talk like that." I don't talk to people in my personal life as much as I talk here, I guess, because I just find I find conversations out there in the world to be kind of short, especially when I'm working or we're at the bar or we're drinking or doing things at the club. So this is kind of where I get my points out or whatever I want to talk about. And today, hold on, let's see. Today's kind of a special day for me. I decided to switch the show up a little bit. I bought a lot of equipment for the show. I bought some new camera stands, new cameras. Um, I got a few things to get. I want to get four people in the same on the same desk with me, to make a show happen. It would be more interesting to have four people, maybe somebody to just kind of hang out with us and step in if we need it, or just the two of us to start a conversation, the other two to kind of join in, and I think that would be fun. I've had people ask me if they could come on, and not that I'm not saying no, but right now I'm not in the place where I can allow that to happen yet. But eventually we'll have more people on, more conversations, more nonsense and chaos. But yeah, no, I'm testing out some new equipment. Stuff kind of looks a little nicer here. Got some new lighting. So you can see my skin here. Not very, very good. I wish I could don't. I'm not that good looking. But yeah, no, I get some really good feedback, which is pretty cool. Um, I guess people didn't think that I would have anything to talk about, which I technically really don't. I'm just talking about the stuff that I had been going through since I was stuff I've been going through for the last couple of years. And when stuff happens to you, you're the expert on that, and you more or less know what you want to say and what you've been waiting to say to people about things that you're thinking. That's kind of where I am right now. That's kind of why I started to figure I want to get into some of this stuff that I've been going through, and I want to talk about other people that I've been around and situations that I've liked, get other people's opinions, and let some of these stories go, so I don't have to just carry this shit with me all everywhere I go. So that was where the breakup story came. Um, the the drug addiction. I don't think I really got into the drug addiction very much. But yeah, no, maybe I will eventually. And the last episode, I was really fucking drunk. I think I went out dancing after working both jobs. I think it was 2 Fridays ago or so. Maybe it was last Friday. I honestly don't remember. But I went out dancing. Went out to the club after work. I got blitzed. I hung out with some friends. Just kept feeding me drinks, and then I came home and I had that bright idea. I was like, let's tell the breakup story. Let's do it. Let's tell the story about my last fucking awful relationship. And yeah, I think it was a disaster. I think it sucked. I think I put myself out there in a way where like I'm not very proud of what I did. wrecking my whole last department. But I still think it had to be done, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. I would do it again if I had the chance. I just wouldn't have gone back because then getting arrested after the move. But yeah, that definitely put me on the right path in my life. Separating from that person was the best thing I could have ever done for myself. Now I understand things that I didn't understand, especially when it comes to you know women who use men, unsuspecting men who have been told to cherish these people, to follow fucking bullshit that the blue pill community kind of tells each other. And now that I have this red pill feeling, I think I'm better off. I think I'll be better off from now on. And if I have to stay alone to be till I find somebody who is right for me, that's perfect. Um, when women do it, you're strong, independent, great. More, hats off to you. But I guess when men do it, you're looked at like, oh, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? So fuck it. I don't give a shit. Be by myself until I find somebody respectful, somebody kind, somebody who just doesn't want to use me for all the things that I could do for them. You know. Um. But yeah, this is very therapeutic. This um sometimes I'll sit in my car and I'll listen back to the past episode. The last one was fucked up because I was drunk. But the last two episodes, I'll sit there and I'll listen to them and I'm like, wow, like this is stuff that I had to let go of. And when I talk about it here, it's just out in the world, and it's not exactly like therapy. Nobody's telling me like you did good or you did bad or maybe you should work on this or maybe you should think about that. But I let it out, and I've been wanting to let some of this stuff such a long um but yeah, I've been on a kind of a roll as far as relationships go, and I haven't really ever been single up until February of last year when I separated from my ex, or when we broke up. um Now I'm single, and it's almost been a year. Next month will be a whole year, which is for me in over 20, I want to say over 23, 24 years. I've never been single for more than just like a week or two. I would always meet the next one and jump into another relationship. And now I'm learning that there are things that I like to do. There are things that I like that I didn't realize I liked. I love to read now. I'm reading more books than I ever had in my whole life. Probably this year and last year alone, I read more than I did in my whole life, which is for me an accomplishment. Every time I finish a book, I have something that I didn't have before, and I recommend that more people read more often. But I know a lot of people say like they don't have a lot of time in their daily lives, which is bullshit. And everybody says they don't have time and they sit around and they fuck off. Um, but for me, it's like something that makes me feel better about myself. It makes me feel above myself in a way. Um, when I finish a book, I know, I learned more than I had in me before the book, right? So I feel better than myself, and that's really my only goal in life from day to day is to be better than I was the day before. Um, a lot of people will hear me talk about stuff like this or see me post on social media about what I'm doing with myself as far as reading and learning and trying to self improve. And a lot of people are like, "Who does this fucking guy think he is? What you know?" He thinks he's better than other people, or he thinks he's so great, or whatever. I don't. I'm very humble, honestly. I don't think I'm better than anybody. I just know that every time I finish doing something as far as self improving goes, that I'm better than myself. A few minutes before I finish something, I'm when I put more effort in than the day before. Um, it's like there's like I could be proud of myself. There's a feeling of accomplishment, and it has nothing to do with what other people are doing or are not doing, right? Um, but it has a lot to do with what I've been doing for myself over the last couple of years. Um, there's nothing like self improving after having been a drug addict for fucking 20 years. There's nothing like sitting around self improving after having been in relationships and just arguing and bickering with somebody for the last couple of years. Um, I don't know. I feel like I'm a different person every day because I'm putting in the effort to become somebody every day. I feel like I should have did this years ago, I feel like most people should feel this way about themselves, but I see a lot of people just sitting on minimal effort. And again, I don't look down on people that are doing these things. I don't look down on people that are not doing anything for themselves. But I just know they can do better. I know everybody has more potential than they could ever believe. What is it? The United States Navy SEALs, I believe, have a 40% rule. They push themselves and they push themselves, and when they feel like they're exhausted and they can't do better, they uh, they tell themselves that they're probably just at a 40% point, which means you have you still have 60% of your fucking energy and ability to push yourself to be able to achieve something greater. Um, so I always think about that 40% point when I'm tired of doing something, as far as working, reading, um, taking better care of myself. I got a haircut recently. Shout outs to Joanne, the girl that does my hair. I get comments. I get comments from people. There it is. I get comments from people after getting a haircut. I'm like, look, I got a haircut, and you'll hear people say, why did they do that to you? Why did they get it? Like, who did that, or why'd you get it like that? I like the mohawk. I like the sideburns, little bat wings. I don't know. This is just me. This is who I enjoyed anyway. Um, so I figured I'd set the pace here for my show a little different than I have been recently. Um, and talk about some of the things that have been going on. What is today? Today is the 20th of January 2024. A lot of things happened this week. Um, it's fucking cold. I had just got out of being sick for about a week and a half. And there's nothing like being sick to make you feel gratitude for your body and your abilities, the abilities that you take for granted every day, like to be able to get out of bed, to be able to go to work, and to be able to do the things you do on a daily basis is not something to be extremely grateful for until you have a fucking sickness that is so bad that you can't get out of bed. Your head, I had tons of mucus. My head hurt. I had so much phlegm in my nose that my forehead was pounding with pain. My back and my arms were sore. I had the heater on full blast in my room here, but I felt freezing cold all the way from my fingertips to my toes, and I couldn't catch heat within my body. It was just tons of cold. Like I couldn't feel any heat, but I had a high temperature, which is really strange. So anyway, that went on, and thankfully Monday, they called off work, which is really cool when you're thinking about what do I want to what do I got to say to these fucking guys. Like I don't really miss work often, so if I told them I was sick, they wouldn't really say anything, or they wouldn't try to force me to come in. But I called and I texted and then I called and I was like, dude, I'm sick. Like I cannot move. I don't think I could drive. My eyes hurt. I can't even really get in the car. And thankfully my boss was like, well, I'm not expecting anybody to come in because it's so fucking cold out. People aren't having it. Everybody's afraid to drive. And yeah, so I got out of going to work, thankfully. Um, there's no way I would have made it. There's no way I would have made it to work. There's fucking um but yeah, he called us off, so I got to be home. And I want to say around Wednesday, I finally felt 100% Wednesday, and I just had this feeling of like oh my god, my mortality. I felt close to death. I felt some way that I don't really like to think about, but I think people have been there. Everybody's been there. If you've had, some kind of really bad disease where you can't move or where your body hurts or an illness or whatever, um, where you just don't feel the same and then it's gone and you just feel like magically revitalized. And I'm just so happy to be around. I'm happy to be myself again and to be able to go to both jobs. And right now, my night job is kind of funky. Uh, it's too cold, so I'm not making a lot of money, but it's okay. I'm making something. My night job, I wait tables at night. Everybody kind of knows where I work at the weekend, and it's been very slow. But yeah, um, I've been having a good time in life because I got my mind straight. reading a lot of motivational works, um, learning from a lot of great thinkers like Sadhguru, Eckhart Tolle, um, reading books by some of these spiritual giants really helped me get back into myself. And so there's times when I feel like shit because things aren't going the way I would hope after putting so hard work in my life. Uh, that's kind of feeling that comes and goes. I think you put so much work into your day to day life, um, and things aren't they're not exactly where you want them to be, and it kind of hits you. It hits you, especially after a long day of coming home. And I'm not in a relationship, so I come home to nothing, nobody. I come home to my setup, and I can hang out with my friend. I have the option of going out and hanging out with friends, but I don't really want to go drink after work. I kind of want to get other things done and accomplish more. I want to read, maybe get into, and I play video games like maybe once a week, if even at that. Play a video game after a long day, or come home and read a book. So I feel like I accomplished something for myself. Um, but then I might go drink, come home drunk, which is kind of fucked up because then I feel like shit about being drunk and spending money on alcohol. But those days come when you put a lot of work into your life and you're not exactly where you want to be. And it usually has to do with like financial, monetary bullshit, which is kind of a trap. And it's kind of a trick that your mind plays on you. Because I know that I'm doing better than I always have been. So coming home without a lot of money, having after having spent a lot of money on bills and getting debt out of the way, it could make you feel like shit. But it's not real. Like they say, feelings aren't facts. So there's days when I feel like shit, but I know I'm doing great. Um, and I'll sit there and I'll pull up one of my favorite books by Eckhart Tolle. It's called it's called A New Earth. So I have it right here in my hand here. Um, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose is the headline title of the book here. But A New Earth is one of my favorite books. When I was going through when I was just beginning to go to NA meetings and get into my recovery from heroin, and at the time I was doing everything. I was doing all the drugs I could possibly find, but my main drug was heroin, smoking tons of weed, drinking alcohol. Um, this book kind of made me understand that a lot of the things that we dwell on, they only hurt us because we think they should hurt us. So this book kind of helps you rewire your brain. It helps you rewire those pathways. They call them neural pathways within your brain. So like I don't have money, so it goes straight to I feel like shit. But I have this new pattern of thinking where it's like I don't have money, but I'm paying bills, so everything's better than it used to be. So feeling like shit is an option I could choose to have, but the better option is to just wait and see and hang on and keep working hard. Okay, and that was a phone call. But yeah, so you always have the option of your mindset working for you or your mindset working against you. And it took me to read this book, A New Earth, to be able to understand how that works. Um, but I think he eloquently breaks down a lot of the things a lot of the little traps that we fall into, as far as like we think our finances should make us feel good about life, but our finances end up making us feel bad about life. And the only one that makes us really feel that way is ourselves. It has a lot. It has a lot to say about our roles that we play in our lives. Um, you could be a mother or father, and your whole personality is based off of your children. And but what happens when your children are gone? A lot of people fall into like a deep depression within themselves. The same thing happens to people who are their whole personality is based off of their jobs. When they end up retiring, um, they don't know what to do with themselves. A lot of people end up passing away or getting really ill after losing their jobs and not having the same career that they had their whole lives, pretty much. Um, a lot of those a lot of those things seep into our consciousness from our mind, and they get into our bodies, and our bodies feel the pain of not having those things. So as far as materials and finances go, a lot of us have been programmed to think that we are what we have, or we are what we've been holding on to. And when we lose those things, or when those things don't come as easily as they used to come to us, um, we get really sad within ourselves, and we feel defeated, and we feel broken. And the energy that we have every day, the energy that we have to go about our day, is just depleted when we wake up, because we remember, I remember, I don't my finances aren't good right now. I'm broke right now, or I'm barely making it right now. So when I wake up the next day, that's the very forefront of my mind, right? But if we can find a way to think past that, to think that, okay, this is a temporary thing, this isn't going to be forever. um I work, multiple jobs. I still have the ability to work hard. I'm the only one stopping me from progressing past this. I'm the only one that's thinking this way, that's making myself feel this bad. Once you start to learn that you're more in control of your feelings than and your emotions than anything around you or anybody outside of yourself, then you get so much power. It's weird. Like, I've never felt this powerful in my entire life, right? I've never felt this energetic in my entire life. I've never had so much energy, to where, like, on the weekend, I can get out of bed. I go into work later on today, but I can get out of bed, have enough energy to clean up my life, take care of everything I have to do for the week, get something to eat, help out around talk to some family and help out with other people, whoever needs me, and then come back home and do a podcast about how I have so much energy to do all this shit now. And it didn't come from me. I'm not like this special guy that's so amazing that I have the secret, that nobody else has. A lot of people have this information within them. A lot of people understand how to do this. I just learned from watching, and I learned how to pay attention to the right people and watch the right people to be able to get the right information that I need for myself. And a lot of it came from this gentleman. His name is Sadhguru. He's an Indian from India. He's an Indian mystic, kind of a gentleman. Um, but he's been helping people all over the world, millions of people. If I could show you, I'm not gonna really do it right now, but but if I can give you like a taste. This guy's fucking great. This guy's amazing. Here he is. There he is. His name is Sadhguru. He's a mystic. He's a really great thinker. Some of the things that he's taught me from just his yeah, I would say you could find him on TikTok, you could find him on YouTube, you could find him on Instagram, Facebook Reels. You can find him all over. He's done shows with Joe Rogan. He's done interviews with a lot of the greats, a lot of the great people. Anyway, this is Sadhguru, one of the greats. This guy is one of my inspirations. Um, I would say if it wasn't for Sadhguru, I wouldn't be who I am today, and that's saying a lot. Um, but when you look for inspiration, you want to look to people who have been recommended by other people. You don't want to just kind of pick and choose from the people around you per se. I mean, you could do that, but just remember, everybody has flaws. Nobody's perfect. I don't think Sadhguru is a perfect being. Um, Sadhguru is just like any other human being. I'm sure there's something about him that people are going to be like, no, he's nobody to watch. You don't know what you're talking about. But Sadhguru's got me through a lot of things. He's brought up a lot of real issues that people have in their lives. And Eckhart Tolle is one of those guys also. Eckhart Tolle he grew up in World War right after World War II ended. England was bombed to shit, and Eckhart Tolle was a young man who grew up in those neighborhoods, and so his neighborhood was in rubble. Uh, he said he had really severe depression from a young age because everybody around him was just sad, so everybody had this really like negative demeanor. And I believe the story goes he's walking through his neighborhood, and he realized that the only reason why he feels sad all the time is because he's been programmed to feel sad all the time. And he thought there was probably a way to rewire himself, to rearrange his thoughts, to be able to not feel like shit about everything that's going on around him, because everything that's going on is from the outside. But if he could feel good about himself on the inside, maybe he can grow that outward. And he kind of found the secret to mindfulness and being present in your own self. And he learned how to share that. And he's written multiple books about it. I would say if you ever feel sad, sit there and Google Sadhguru, or sit there and Google Eckhart Tolle, and get a feel for what they're trying to talk about and what they're trying to teach people, and you'll become addicted to it. It's like a drug. Um, Listening to Eckhart Tolle, listening to Sadhguru over the years when I was trying to stay off drugs, I had already stopped using drugs, but trying to stay off drugs was kind of a full time job in itself, because you come across these feelings in a day to day situation, and it used to be, I'm gonna go get high, I'm gonna go drink, I'm gonna get fucked up, right? And now it's like I have to do something better with myself. I have to find solutions to my emotions. I have to find solutions to my feelings. I have to find a way to get through this, not ignore it, not shove it down, not sweep it under the rug, but to be able to get through this. And that's what these guys kind of taught me over the last couple of years. I remember hearing Eckhart Tolle talk to a lady. He was talking to this businesswoman. She came to him telling him that she was deathly depressed. She hated her life. She always had so many problems. She couldn't just relax. So he asked her, what's the problem? What's going on with you right now? So she told him about her job, and she told him about her boss and her obligations and her responsibilities, and why they weigh so heavy on her. And he told her, okay, all that's valid, but just put all that aside. Remove that from your mind. Think about what the next thing would be. If you had all that's bothering you right now pushed out of the way, what else would it be? So she's like, well, my relationship isn't going so well, and my family, and some of these issues I have with my friends. I don't have enough time to see people. I have all these personal issues with some of these people that I know. And so he said, okay, stop that. Put all that aside right now. And what else would there be? And so she's like, well, my lifestyle, my diet, my finances, my some of the issues I have with my house and my car and these different things. And so he said, okay, if you put all that aside right now and you look at your life with all of those issues to the side, imagine they weren't there, what else would there be? And so she was like, well, and he said, hold on, wait. So you see, what you're doing is you're manufacturing these fucking issues. You're manufacturing these issues that are putting you in this slump right now. If those issues weren't there, you'd find more issues. It's not that the issues are the most important things going on in your life. And yes, they may be very important to you. But the fact of the matter is that you are always looking for something to feel like shit about. So you're being pre-programmed to feel like shit about stuff. You're not seeing the gratitude for what you do have. And that kind of woke me up, because I thought, I'd have I also have that going on for myself. Having been in a relationship for over 23 years and always looking to somebody to feel something for myself, like looking to a girlfriend to feel good about myself, looking to sex to feel better about myself, looking for drugs, looking for money, looking for attention, looking for love from other people to feel better about myself. That's an addiction in itself. So getting out of the drug addiction, getting off the heroin and the weed and the alcohol, I had to realize that, yeah, the drugs are for sure a problem. But a larger part of the issue is also the fact that I'm addicted to feeling something that's not what I feel in the foreground, if that makes any sense. So I originally just feel like bored or sad or feel like shit. And boredom is a sign that you're a boring person. Boredom is for sure a sign that you're just a boring person. There's just so much stuff to do. If you were bored, you can go hang out with friends. You can go to the bar, go read a book, go walk around, take a walk, go explore. There's a number of things you can do when you're bored. But I used to jump to doing drugs. I used to just jump to the drugs when something was bothering me, anything at all. Jump to. So I realized that I was just trying to search for things to cover the initial boredom with, to cover the initial sadness with. And again, the sadness was manufactured by me, right? So the thing that I overlooked mostly my whole life was that I was creating these feelings within myself. And as much as everything that's happening externally, everything that's happening outside of my body, it does affect me because it's just natural to be affected by your surroundings and by the things that are actually happening to you and around you. Um, the unnatural thing is to walk with it and allow it to keep destroying you and allow it to keep manufacturing feelings that are not serving you in any way. And I like my mind to serve me now. I like my mind to help me get through the day, and I like my mind to create energy for me. I don't like it when my mind is subtracting energy from my body and putting me in this state of I don't want to do this. I don't want to go further with the day, and I don't like my life. And I feel furthest from that today, thanks to these guys. So I figured I'd throw that out there again. Um, I mentioned Sadhguru before and Eckhart Tolle, and I'll probably keep doing it again and again because those are some of my inspirations. If it wasn't for those guys, I wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't be as happy as I am right now. And I'm pretty happy and I'm content to be here alone and just to be able to talk to. I have no idea who. I don't know who my audience is, but I have a feeling it's friends and people who kind of want to understand where I'm coming from, maybe, or it's just people who are listening just because they want to get an idea of who I am. And this is who I am. I like I said, I used to be on drugs. I used to be a fucking really angry, hateful, pissed off kind of guy, and now I'm just somebody who kind of wants to spread inspiration and wants to help people achieve stuff that they've been wanting to do for themselves. And if that's just loving yourself, if that's just getting out of bed in the morning, if that's just being okay with being by yourself, then I want to help. I want to help you achieve that because I found that in my daily life. I think I would be uh, an important ally in the fight against feeling like shit. And I've also came across people on social media who are hurting, you know, and it breaks my heart to see people hurting. But like they say, you can't heal the unwilling. You can't help the people who don't want to help themselves. So as much as I want to keep throwing it in people's faces, like, look, you feel depressed. It's probably the medication. It's probably the lack of effort. You can't force people to pick up a book. You can't force people to sit there and watch a YouTube video. I probably could baby some people and sit there with them and be like, watch this and sit there with them for a couple hours. But is that really going to help? I mean, maybe it will. Um, but I think there's more. I think there's more of a reward if the person sits there and says, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna try to help myself. And I'm gonna accomplish this for myself for the day. And if sitting there and watching a 10-minute or a 20-minute video by some Indian mystic or some little English man is too much for you to do to learn how to love yourself and have a better life, then okay, don't do it. You don't have to. I'm not gonna force you. But I would say that if you did, you'd be better off for yourself and your family, everybody around you. All right, moving forward, a little bit about myself, a little bit about the stuff I was reading. I read that book. Actually, read that book once or twice a year because you come across stuff, you come across issues, you come across feelings that you probably didn't feel for a long time, but it hits you again, and you're like, "Fuck!" Like this is new me. This is a new age. This is a new year. I'm going through some new situations. I'm still me, but I've been going through different things every year. Um, the book kind of hits differently at different times, and you know, as far as being single goes, I'm pretty happy. I could talk to different women. I can go here, I can go there, I can do what I want. You know, I could hit on whoever I want. I'm not a creep, but I do like to kind of talk to different women and play the field. And I don't have to feel bad about it. I'm not hurting anybody by doing it. I don't really try to create relationships right now. I'm trying to stay as single as possible until somebody shows interest in me that I have interest in. It's tough being a guy, I guess, because you are socially the one who has to jump at the opportunity first. You have to push the idea, uh, be like, hey, I kind of want to spend time with you. What do you think? But I find that not doing that is pretty cool. Um, I might talk to somebody and get to know them, and then see that they're talking to two or three other people, and they end up with another person. Another person tries a little harder, and to me, that's pretty cool. Like I could play the field, you know, I could kind of get around and get to know different people, and if they're taken off the market, then that's cool. Then I'm free to roam further. Um, but yeah, as far as being single goes, I'm pretty happy being single. But the strangest thing about it is like my conscious uh I guess somewhere in there still I have this feelings of I still want to be in a relationship somewhere in there, even though like my actual conscious is like I don't care to be and I'm not trying to be. My subconscious is like you still kind of want to be. So when I sleep, I have dreams about having a person, and I used to wake up and feel so sad, like to the point of like, man, this makes me want to cry a little bit. Uh, but now when I wake up after having dreams of like, oh, I was in love with with this person, in my dream, it felt like a lifetime in my dream. I wake up and I'm like, oh, that was cool. I'm glad I got to feel something like, you know, I'm glad I got to feel some kind of emotions that have been missing in my daily life. As far as love goes, as far as wanting to be with somebody goes, because now I'm just kind of, I'm not into it anymore. Kind of took myself off the market in a way. Kind of a little bit disgusted with humanity as far as people go around. Talk more about, but it's because I guess the dating scene is just terrible right now. I mean, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me, but I see a lot of people using each other, and I don't see a lot of old school loving. I don't really hear the word love very often out there. It's just what can you do? What do you have? What are you worth? To me, that's something else. I don't like this modern day dating scene anyway. Which brings me to society. Society's fucking crazy. Anyway, let's do some scrolling here. I've been scrolling a while, but this time we're gonna scroll some Eckhart Tolle and we're some good old fashioned Sadhguru.
Because of the circumstances of their lives. In most cases, people think they're unhappy because of the circumstances of their lives. In most cases, they're unhappy because of what they're telling themselves or what the mind is saying about what's going on around you and has happened, will happen. In the face of a challenge, if you are present, you don't convert the challenge into suffering. You just be with what is. People think.
He's got some good points. Let's see. Let's go to the next one.
Surprisingly, contrary to popular belief, your life and the world, your world, is not here to make you happy. So what is it here for? To make me unhappy? Well, it can do that easily, but it's here to awaken you. Surprisingly, the letting go, the most important step in letting go of feelings is to cut the link between your thinking and what you're feeling. How do you do that? You do it by being aware of your thinking and realizing that that thinking is pain. It feeds the old feeling, and the narrative, whatever it is a painful narrative, and you realize that you've been keeping it alive for some years, and there's some enough awareness, you realize that it has no purpose except to make you unhappy and to perpetuate that feeling. The letting go, the most...
Yeah, no matter how he says it, he's basically trying to teach people that their perception of their life is what creates the feelings in their mind that turns into suffering. Most people think that what's happening to them is creating the suffering, when in fact it's how you perceive what's happening that is the suffering. I fucking love this guy. I love this guy.
Stress is a sign that you've lost the present moment. The next moment has become more important than life itself. Stress is a sign that you've lost. Worrying about your life or your problems is a very common belief that is necessary to hold things together, but it's not. You have to recognize the futility of worrying and realize your life is already together. You're breathing, you're eating when you need food, you sleep when you sleep, you go to work, you do what you do, you look around, contemplate, look at the sky. Worrying about... But you allow this moment to be as it is. But what does that mean? It means you don't add unnecessary mental baggage to it that argues with the isness of this moment. But the absolute reality of what your life is this moment is your life. Your life is never not this moment. The absolute...
I think one of his lessons that I really liked was it's based on all of his other, based on what I mentioned earlier. But when something goes bad in our life, we hold that moment with us, and we take it into the next moment, and the next moment, and the next day, and the next day. And that's what being present minded is. That's what being present is all about. So he usually says, like, something happened to you in your childhood or at your job or a couple of weeks ago, and you're still holding on to that moment, and you're bringing it into the future with you, and you're multiplying that feeling into multiple feelings, and you're creating your own suffering, and you're bringing it everywhere you go. And he talked about two ducks colliding with each other, and then momentarily fighting, and then swimming away from each other, and then shaking off the fight and shaking off the feelings, and then floating away and becoming present again. And he talked about how animals have this amazing ability to go through something, perhaps something traumatic, and then swim away or get away from where they were. And animals, animals don't have the mind that humans have exactly. So animals don't leave an altercation with another animal and take it into the future with them and say, "Oh, that guy, that guy's an asshole. That guy bumped into me. That guy hates me. That guy doesn't like me. Why did he do that? Who does he think he is?" The duck tends to just kind of float away and enter into a new moment and feel the next feelings. And that's something that human beings aren't capable of doing right now. And that's why he talks about awakenings. Once you feel the information integrates into your ideas, into your consciousness, into your life, and once you start to learn how to realize those thoughts, how to realize the information and how to personalize it, and once you understand what it really means to be present minded and to be mindful, you awaken to a new idea that you didn't have in your mind before. And that's what spiritual awakenings are, basically. Again, this book, A New Earth, it's an enhancement to your awakenings. I don't think any book exactly can create spiritual awakenings in the human being's mind, and it's possible, but you have to learn how to personalize and integrate these thoughts into your daily life to be able to have that initial awakening. And that's what his books do for But the theory of the duck not taking his feelings with him into the next moment and the next moment and the next moment is a very important theory. It's a very important idea that I think um, should be scrutinized and should be within us every day. Just to remember that animals don't do these things, and they also don't carry. They don't have these feelings of depression and these feelings of paranoia, these little dramatic thoughts in them that this person doesn't like me because this thing happened, or this person hates me, or what did I do to this person? Because when you carry those thoughts into the next moment and into the next moment and the next day and so on, you're taking away from your own life. Your quality of life has gone down somewhat because you just can't have gratitude. And gratitude is a very important way to live your life. I feel like when you have gratitude if you can remember to have gratitude for the things that you have in your life and not worry about the things that you don't have in your life that you wish you had, the quality of life seems to get better when you have a little gratitude. And let's go.
Inhabit the present moment, be present because that's all there ever is. There is nothing else except the present. The mind will tell you that there are many things much more important than the present moment, but it's a lie. It's a delusion because there is nothing else. Even when your mind tells you there are many things more important than this moment, it can only tell you that in this moment. Inhabit the present moment, be present.
Although the body is very intelligent, it can't tell the difference between an actual situation and a thought. It reacts to every thought as if it were a reality. It doesn't know that it's just a thought. To the body, a worrisome, fearful thought means I am in danger, and it responds accordingly, even though you might be lying in a warm and comfortable bed at night. The heart beats faster, muscles contract, breathing becomes rapid. There is a build-up of energy, but since the danger is only a mental fiction, the energy has no outlet. Part of it is fed back to the mind and generates even more anxious thought, and the rest of the energy generated turns toxic and interferes with the harmonious functioning of the body.
The secret of if you want to manifest something, you have to start with it. The foundation for manifestation is always the present moment. It's not the future. Spiritual awakening has nothing to do with seeing spirits or angels or talking to God or having past life experiences. All these things are wonderful, but they're not necessarily spiritual awakening. They could be associated with spiritual awakening, but they are not in themselves spiritual awakening. Spiritual awakening is the realization of a new dimension of consciousness in you that had already been there before, but spontaneously arising occasionally, but had been always overlooked by you. Yes, but you had experienced moments of joy, moments of heightened aliveness, moments of inner peace, but you probably had not associated those moments with not thinking. And yet, if you look more deeply into how these moments of heightened aliveness, joy, inner peace happened, and if you looked more closely, you would realize there was little or no thinking while you were experiencing those moments.
I love this guy. He's one of the greats.
I would love to hear your thoughts on your definition of the law of attraction, but also maybe.
All right, that was Zikr. This is Sadhguru. I think Sadhguru is one of the greatest spiritual teachers
You should sit
of all
alone
time.
for 3 days. No television, no book, no texting, simply by yourself. Let's see what happens. You must know the nature of who you are. You should not go on dodging yourself and one day you will explode into something. You must know what is the level of madness you're suffering. When I say madness, if your mind is out of your control, is that called madness in definition? Hello? If your mind does not take instructions from you, it's out of control, is that called madness? Just try and just go sit quietly in your room. Just see what all your mind does. You decide, don't tell anybody. You decide what is the level of madness you're going through. With this, if you enter the world, what will you create? You will only create who you are, isn't it? If you sit alone for 3 days…
Interesting.
There is only one wealth in your life. Listen to me carefully. There is only one wealth in your life. Things that you wear, things that you stored up, this is not your wealth, this is just a headache. The only wealth that you have in your life is the profoundness of your experience of this life. How profound is it? Is it profound enough that every moment is overwhelmingly beautiful for you, or is it a lousy drama that's going on? If you have a lousy drama going in your head, don't blame your family, your God or your dog. It's just that you're a bad director, you just have to fix that.
Damn, that's fucking lit.
There is only
Dude, that's fucking
one…
lit. That's really good experience. That's really amazing.
Life is your karma. Karma means you're doing. Your life is your making. Whatever may be happening, you may be able to logically figure out why it is so, you may not be able to figure out, but still you know one thing, if this is happening to me, this is my making. This is the greatest empowerment you can have, when you understand, my life is my making. Whatever happened till now, it doesn't matter. How will you make your tomorrow? I'm asking you. If you clearly know 100%, my life is my making, how will you make the next moment? How will you make a tomorrow? How will you make your future in the most beautiful way? Isn't it so? That's what needs to happen. Your life is your karma.
There are only two kinds of suffering that human beings go through, physical suffering and mental suffering. Once you create a little space between you and your mind, between you and your body, this is the end of suffering. This is something every human being has to experience and know. That's why we put out this process called Isha Kriya. This is to distance yourself from your physiological and psychological process. There is something called as you which exists. This is not a composite of all your thoughts and emotions and physiological processes. Beyond that, there is you. If you close your eyes, even if you cannot see anything, you're still there. It is through the window of your eyes that you're looking out, but if you close your eyes, it doesn't mean that you don't exist, you still exist. There are only two kinds of suffering that human beings go through, physical suffering and
pretty
mental
interesting.
suffering.
One more.
Did Sadhguru kill his wife? Sadhguru's real name is Jaggi Vasudev. His wife, Vijayakumari.
Uh-oh.
According to Jaggi, Vijayakumari went through a process called Mahasamadhi, meaning she consciously exited her body by her free will. Here you can hear him speaking about what happened when his wife died.
She sat there on a full moon day evening with everybody. There were people around, and after 5 minutes, it is in the shrine, she got up and went. My eyes are closed, I knew she got up. I got a little irritated, because nobody ever gets up once they sit down. Till we say it is time, nobody ever gets up. And of all the people, my wife getting up and going, a little irritation in me. Why is she getting up of all the people? Then I ignored it and I sat down.
Did Sadhguru kill his wife? Sadhguru's real name is Jaggi Vasudev. His wife, Vijayakumari. According to Jaggi, Vijayakumari went through a…
Interesting.
Kundalini Yoga in its
So
essence…
he says Sadhguru killed his wife, which is crazy. That's a wild allegation. And that that happened here on the show here, which is weird. But anyway, Sadhguru was one of my favorites. Oh, like that aside, I don't know if he killed his wife. I'm kind of iffy about. I don't think he killed his wife. Honestly, I don't believe it. But if you really want to feel good about yourself, if you really want to come into a better
Did Sadhguru kill his wife?
understanding of your mind and your spirit, your aura, you want to better understand yourself. Well, listen to some Sadhguru, listen to some Eckhart Tolle. Let's read the comments. Please do not sabotage my Sadhguru. It reminds me of fake guru movie documentary Q Mary. This is beyond fucking insane. You didn't explain anything, thanks. Sadhguru is practicing black magic and mind control. Notice the hate in his voice. He was cheating on his wife when she died. Oh god.
Kundalini Yoga in its essence.
Did Sadhguru kill?
In 2022, 2 people were murdered in his center. One of the victims was raped, tortured, and thrown in a well. 2023, 1 lady also died. Case cover-up. Tamil Nadu government never talked about that. Never felt good with this one. I feel he's just regurgitating old wisdom, and he's reading books on philosophy and history. Nothing original. I mean, yeah. Always got bad vibes from this guy. He seems arrogant. I doubt he does not seem arrogant, but okay. Let's look at the content behind this fucking... I don't think he killed his wife. That seems weird. Anyway, that was a little Sadhguru stuff. Alright, let's do some doom scrolling here. I guess, I don't know what we're gonna get into. We're gonna watch some videos. I don't know what the fuck this is. Seems interesting.
This revelation I'm about to drop is so deep, and I might make a full video, but please listen to this with an open mind, because it's going to set some of you free. We as women are being groomed by many of these content creators to be prostitutes. Let me explain. I used to listen to a lot of this like hypergamy, femininity content online, okay? The Sprinkle lady, I knew about her like way before she blew up on TikTok, all right? I was there.
The Sprinkle lady is like this TikToker who talks about like dating men who have money, and she promotes like simpy fucking behavior in men, and she promotes like really predatory behavior in women.
I used to listen to her consistently. People like her, I would listen to. Okay, she'd talk about the dusties and hypergamy and the kind of men you should be chasing. I used to listen to all of that before I got saved. Now listen, that content was making me so bitter and angry at men. And I had never hated men really like that before. I have had negative experiences with men, but I've never hated or like disliked or been embittered towards men the way that I was in that season. And the reason I became so bitter is because I was taking on their bitterness. Bitterness is contagious, okay?
She's right.
The Bible says that bitterness, when it takes root, actually defiles many people. So let me read you. See to it that no one falls short of the grace of God, and that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many. Bitterness is contagious. When you are consistently listening to somebody who hates men or who's constantly calling men dusties, dehumanizing men, you will eventually pick up and take on that mindset. Now, this is why it's important. When you become bitter towards men, when you become desensitized towards the fact that they are human beings, and you start to hate them, this is when you start to really listen to the women that tell you to only use men for their money, to, take him for everything he's worth, to not care about love, to not care about any of the things that make a relationship beautiful, but to simply go after the money. And
it's true, like a lot of these women TikTokers, a lot of these hypergamy TikTokers talk about men who don't have enough money, and they kind of talk about them in a really shallow mindset. And she's right about bitterness. Like once you see bitter people talking about the things that they hate, it makes you feel just as bitter as them. That's why I don't really like to watch like police pullover videos or any of these like any of these government what do they call them? People who audit the government. I don't like watching those videos because it makes me angry at like police, and I don't like to feel that way. But yeah, dehumanizing men. And then watching these female TikTokers dehumanize men, it makes you feel gross inside. And then it also it makes you think like these women have videos about like finding good men and finding a better situation, but they never talk about love. Nobody ever talks about love when they talk about relationships nowadays. And that should be like a major red flag when it comes to like your dating advice TikTok videos. Like there's no talking of love. There's just talking of like trying to get one over on the opposite sex, which is a little weird.
Even as I'm saying this, some of you guys are going to feel angry at me. Some of you guys may feel tempted to call me whatever it is, a pick me, or be angry, or rise up in your spirit and say, but what about men? Listen, you are being trained based on what you're consistently feeding your mind to desensitize yourself towards human beings. And because you have that hatred, because you are desensitized, that's when you go out and start to use men like how a prostitute would. What does a prostitute do? A prostitute sells her body in exchange for money, for material gifts. When you are dating a man or with a man, not because you care about him, not because you love him, but simply because of the lifestyle he can provide for you, your heart isn't in it. Your head isn't in it. You are a prostitute. And you are being groomed. We are being groomed. They're attempting to groom us into being prostitutes. Now listen, this is not me telling you to marry a financially irresponsible man, because I do believe that men have responsibilities and duties towards women that they are courting, that they're dating and wanting to, marry. A man has a responsibility to. In fact, men have many responsibilities towards the women that they say they want to be with, okay, that they want to marry. All right. So definitely you should be entertaining husband-minded men who have proven to you, okay, through their consistency that they have good character, that they're good men all around, not just in the financial area, but all around. Now, once a man has actually proven to you, okay, that he's a good man, that he cares about you, that he loves you, why wouldn't you want to love that man back? You really have to sit down, and we as a whole have to sit down and ask ourselves realistically, what do I want out of a relationship? What do I want out of a marriage? Do I want somebody just for the lifestyle that they can provide me with? Or do I actually want love? Do I want love and to be loved? Think about the people in your life that you love. Think about your mom who you love. Think about your brothers or whoever it is that you love in your life. Is that not a wonderful and beautiful relationship? And why wouldn't you want to have that with somebody that you are joining yourself to for the rest?
It's weird. Like, I've heard a lot of these women TikTokers. I've heard a lot of men talk about how, like if you do fall in love for somebody, you're kind of stupid, or, if you're falling in love, you're more liable to be tricked by somebody. And on some level, it's true. And I think that's why a lot of these TikTokers and a lot of these people don't really even like get into the idea of falling in love anymore. It's just all about how convenient the relationship is. For men, it's about how much sex you could get, or the beauty of a woman that you can get, the level of beauty that you can get. And for women, it's about the kind of man you can get as far as his finances go and how good looking he is. And but yeah, people don't speak of love enough. It's kind of that's kind of like the worst part about modern day dating that I see anyway.
Of your life. This is not a game. Many of these women are leading you down a terrible path and leading you towards terrible relationships and situations under the guise of, oh, sprinkle, sprinkle, oh, find hypergamy, whatever. Terrible situations. Ask yourself what is important to you. I'm not saying that financial irresponsibility is okay. Not at all. Okay? But that shouldn't be the only thing that you're seeking. You need somebody with character. Be very careful about these people that you're listening to. Don't get so bitter and hardened in your heart towards men, towards people, that you fail to see them as human beings and fail to see the fact that there are, in fact, good men. There are. And some of you might get mad at that statement, but that just proves that there's something in you that needs to, there's a lie that needs to be uprooted from your mind. If you believe that all men are trash, all men are terrible, it's because you have taken on poisonous teachings, poisonous thoughts, and they might not even be your thoughts. They might be thoughts that have been planted in you by social media, by people that are constantly ragging about men, talking about bitterness, and you might have taken on somebody else's bitterness. So you need to be very, very careful, because when you start to make these broad-minded statements like all men are this, all women are this, all black people are this, all white people are this, you know that there's a root of bitterness in your heart that needs to be uprooted. I will make a full video about this, but I just pray right now in Jesus' name that every root of bitterness in our hearts that has taken place and that has formed itself in our hearts, I just pray in the name of Jesus that every root of bitterness from this day forward would be uprooted in the name of Jesus. And I pray that the love of God would begin to flood our hearts and that the wisdom of the Holy Spirit would come upon us right now in Jesus' name. Amen.
That's where she kind of lost me there, but okay. I get what she's saying. And yeah, there's a lot of prostitute esque advice being thrown around about how to find a good man or how to control a man or whatever. But I hate these TikTok videos. I fucking hate them, but they're so interesting.
Quantum worlds and the infinite possibilities of your human experience. I'm going to use baby birds to explain
Quantum worlds.
So here we have a nest. And in the nest, we have eggs that are beginning to hatch. Oh look, baby birds. So far in the baby's life, all they know is the mama bird bringing home worm to the nest. Now, as the birds get older, they're going to realize that their nest is on a branch connected to a thing. And it's when they try to explore this thing that one of them comes toppling down. So, unfortunately, the first baby bird dies. So this bird is gone. And now we're at this bird. This bird just saw that happen and was like, alright, so we gotta do something to survive. So when it falls to the ground, it starts flapping its wings like a motherfucker. And it doesn't fly, but it hits the ground and it survives. This baby bird sees that and is like, alright, I'm gonna do what he did, and flutters down and actually manages to fly a little bit better than he did. So when it comes to getting back up the tree, this bird dies. Meep, meep. And this is the baby bird to actually get back up. This was the successful baby bird that went down, fluttered its wings because of the previous two examples, and was able to go back up into the tree. They know that their mom is coming from random places, so now they're gonna pick one of those random places once they get old enough to go get food. Because eventually, the mama bird ain't gonna come back no more, because mama bird's like, no, you learned how to fly, you're out the nest, and that's usually actually what pushes these birds out the nest, is they're like, where the fuck is mom, we need food. So to survive, the bird has to leave the nest and then come back in random patterns, but they'll always go back to center. They'll always go back to origin, wherever they spawned in this little video game and whatever character that they were put into. They'll just play their role, go out and back to center in different freaking patterns. It's like when you walk on a path, when you turn around, you could trace your exact footsteps, but even if you did that intentionally, how would you know you're walking back on the same exact line that you were when you walked forward, away from the original point? And you've seen this before, so time to reintegrate it into your brain. 0D is chaos and 1D is a point from this chaos. They are one of the same, but not the same. This represents something, this represents a lack of that something. One dimension is simply one dimension of perspective. 2D has 2 points and 2 sides and is therefore represented by yin-yang polar energies. But what happens when you reflect the same 2D polar process? You have those same 2 points and 2 sides, but now they've kept, changed, and flipped their position. This is 3D, but it's not until you combine 2 and 3D that you get 4D flow. All we've done to get this shape is combine these two, and so the physics of it are going to be just slightly different, almost counteractive. Which brings us to 5D, which is your human structure here on Earth, which mimics it. And of course, our evolution comes from 3D, and so on a biological plane of existence, 3D represents the animal world. And these cheeky little fellas are learning to evolve into
I'm not
us
gonna lie,
through
this
their
is complete
empathy
horseshit.
and us learning about how to treat their gut health better. We see more and more owners taking care of their pets, like their dogs and their cats, and giving them human-like food because we're realizing they're no different than us. Now,
I'm not gonna lie, this video is complete horseshit. Alright, we're skipping that. That was a fucking waste of life.
You're so hot, even my zipper.
Guys, I'm telling you, when she's about to cheat, she does these. Number 1, there are several unexplained times where she is unavailable. She's not able to give you tenable explanations as to where she was, why her phone was off, why she was inaccessible. It's always one excuse after the other that makes absolutely no sense. Let me tell you this. If you are dating a woman who is inaccessible, and especially when you realize a trend that at certain points in time you just cannot seem to get through to her no matter what, and it's always just some random excuses, then I'm sorry to tell you, there is someone who is definitely occupying her time whilst you are frantically trying to reach her and are not able to. She may see this video and deny it all she wants, but I'm telling you, bro, listen to me. She is about to cheat on you if she hasn't already started. Now, I tell this to guys all the time, and just people in general. When you care about someone, you make deliberate efforts at being available to them. I'm not saying you must be available to them 24/7, but I am saying that they take priority in your life, especially when other things are concerned. So yeah, maybe there are those random moments. Work stuff, you can't pick up your phone. Why can't you call me back? And does it so happen that your boss only needs you between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. every Wednesday when your phone is off? It makes no sense. And really, I don't think that you should fall for that lie. The biggest signs of a cheat is usually someone who has a pattern of unavailability over a period of time and is not able to give you tenable explanations why they are unavailable.
Interesting.
Biggest lie that anybody could ever tell you is that life gets way easier after high school. Do not listen to them niggas. I don't care if you got straight A's, straight F's, straight C's, or straight D's, nigga. Pause. As soon as you touch real life, it's over with. Right after I graduated from high school, I decided to go get a job at McDonald's because it was summertime and I needed some money. Shortly after applying, I realized this was the worst mistake of my life. Not only am I bad at customer service, but I'm seeing niggas that I used to go to school with. But that wasn't even the worst part. I'm cool with seeing my homies, that's not an issue. But when I seen my teacher, Mr. Banks from science class, nigga, it was over with. I had to quit cause that nigga really humbled me. Mr. Banks was my dog, but he was low-key a hater. I always told that nigga I'ma be famous one day, but he always laughed at me. So when he pulled up to the drive-thru, he looked at me and I looked at him, I dapped him up. Right after I dapped him up, he looked at me and laughed and said, I told your ass you was gonna be up here. And I tried to laugh it off, but what made it worse was this nigga had the nerve to tell me to go in the back and put his McChicken in the bag. I say, whoa, chill, Mr. Banks, we not doing that. I swear to God. And he looked at me and he straight up told me, you ain't no kid no more, buddy. This is the real world. Right after he told me that, I took off that big ass XL McDonald's uniform and I got up out of there.
Okay, what the fuck is that? Real? That really ended. He quit his job because he saw his teacher. What a fucking idiot! Idiot twice.
Biggest lie that
in a row.
anybody.
He's an idiot.
Give me that knife. Give me the knife. I'll give it to you in the back. I'll give it to you.
Hell no.
That's what I'll give. Right there, I'll give it.
Jeez.
So maybe in the front. I'll have to think.
Oh man, she's gonna stab the lady, bro. That's wild. That's wild. That's crazy, bro. The old lady just abusing her helper.
I'm recording everything you're doing. I'll send it to your daughter. So keep doing that.
Get out of here. Get out of my house.
Okay, keep doing that.
Get out of my house.
Keep doing it.
Get out of my house. Now. Get out. Get out. I'm not afraid of you.
That's fucking terrible. I would never do this. I would never work for this lady. Or anybody like her. Oh no, she's gonna come in for... What's she gonna do? Oh no, she's up to something. She's gonna do something.
No, stop it. No. Stop. No. No. You know what no means? I guess you don't. You put it on your head.
Whoa. That's fucking crazy. Let's keep going. You put it on your head, lady. She just gave her a nice little lettuce hat. You know, just an old lady abusing her helper. Nice. Now she's on this side. This lady's a G, though. She...
Rose, stop it.
No. No, I will
Stop
not
it.
stop it. I will not stop it. I will not. I will not. You know what that means? That means not. It means no.
Okay.
Stop! No. No. That's my house. I can do.
She's coming back for more.
Rose, stop
Yes?
it.
No. No, I will
Stop
not
it.
stop it. I will not stop it. I will not. I will not. You know what that means?
That's crazy. Alright. Just some form of dementia. That's wild. Well, that sucks.
It's grab time! What the fool? Why are they all not moving? What? What
Alright.
is happening?
They just paused a little bit.
Babies?
That is freaking real. That is not real. It's real. It is real. But it's like barely. What the fuck? It's not moving at all.
Okay.
What the fuck? How does that happen? Oh my god.
Very strange.
Let me ask you a real quick question. I'll be cool with you. You be cool with me, okay? Like, do you smoke in this car?
You smoke pot in this car.
Okay.
All the time.
Okay. So, because I kind of got a whiff of it, and I'm not saying you got any or anything.
I mean, yeah.
You got a little bit.
Just like everyone smoke. That's it.
Ain't no big deal. You gonna give it to me? Okay. No weapons or anything, right? Okay. Cool. Let me. Okay. Okay. Cool. Now you're just being detained. You're not under arrest. Okay. I'll tell you what, man. Not often do you stop somebody who's as honest as you've been. Like, real talk. A lot of times people are like, man, I don't know. I ain't got nothing. Why you know?
My mom told me even if you're doing wrong, just always be honest because it's better than lying. So.
Oh,
I appreciate
mom
that. He's
taught her.
real cool. Real honest. He even handed me the. So all I'm gonna do right now is make sure he's not wanted. See if his license is good. Yeah, you ain't wanted or nothing, dog. I can't find a license for you though.
Okay, so when I got a license, I was hanging out with my friends. I was driving his car, but he had in the car, so they took my license.
Bro, yeah, bro, you're the most honest dude I ever.
I mean, I'm just keeping it
All
real.
right.
So, look.
Unethical Ways to Make Money, Part 96.
Prison.
because people would think I'm lying.
All right. I hate ghost stories.
Because there's not a man alive that's going to disagree with what I'm about to break down. So I want the ladies to listen. You want a strong 7. Let me tell you why. 10, fine as all get out, tat out, body, looking fine, everything like that, got it going on. Too much maintenance. Too much. Because she knows she can. And you're expendable. She can take you or leave you. A 9, that's a problem too. Because you got enough people telling her she's a 10, so half of them acting that way. And by the way, the ones that ain't acting that way still require more from you than what others might. And so you got to be up on your game. That's problematic. 8, that's ideal. Because that's really, really good looking. She got it going on. But at the same time, there's a level of independence that comes with it, which is never a bad thing until she's so independent that she's making you feel like you need to be more dependent on her than she needs to be on you. So there's too many opportunities and too much time that's wasting away where you're not feeling like that dude. You're feeling like a dude, not that dude. Here's where the strong 7 comes in. Looks-wise, she can compete with an 8, but her mentality is not that of an 8. So she's more appreciative of you wanting her. As a result, she shows an elevated appreciation for you wanting her. Therefore, she treats you like she wants you. And as a result, y'all have more of a good time together. Fellas, am I lying? Fellas, am I lying? Everybody know I'm telling the truth. Everybody know I'm telling the truth. This is what it is. Strong 7. And that don't mean she ain't an 8, but strong 7.
I don't like Steven Smith. I don't like his yelling, bro.
That's somebody who is an 8.
Pretty loud, bro.
But don't act like one. That's what makes her special. Because there's not a man
Okay.
Man,
Kevin.
get on birth control.
I agree.
No. Don't. I'm gonna just say what a father should say. Your mother has taught you wrong,
Yeah.
and your sister is a teenage mother, and that's a cycle.
Right.
Have sex. I'm not saying. I mean, if you're gonna have sex, just don't make any babies.
Oh yeah, I tell my sister that all the time.
I'm talking to you. I'm not talking to your sister. I'm talking.
yeah.
I'm not worried about your sister. I'm talking to you.
Oh
You
yeah, I
are
know that.
okay. Listen.
Yeah.
Don't oh yeah me. Listen.
Okay.
You come from women who are reckless.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm calling it as I see it. Your mother was reckless. Your sister is reckless. And this yeah stuff is too much. If you're going to have sex, have protection. Go get an IUD and go get Plan B as a backup.
Oh yeah.
And then use condoms. There's more than just pregnancy.
Oh yeah.
There's sexually transmitted diseases.
Oh yeah. I'm already knowing. I'm saying yes because I totally agree with you. That's what I'm telling you. Like.
Good, because
yeah.
the one thing that could screw you up more than anything else is having a baby.
Is a child.
And when I hear young ladies who come from women who with 5 kids with 3 different dads, and then your sister got a kid.
Kevin Samuel, the legend.
Man, get on birth control.
Legendary.
Listen to this.
Legendary. Oh shit. Hell yeah. Okay. That was wild.
Now, if you peep a couple dudes in the street and they're wearing ski masks on their head or over their face in public, then they're usually from the hood. And it's honestly really crazy because nowadays you'll see a lot of people not from the hood doing that. Honestly, because of Pooh Shiesty. And I honestly think it's crazy that they call them shiesties now because niggas been rocking ski masks forever. Another telltale sign is the shoes they're wearing. But hood dudes usually have a signature shoe. In some areas it's New Balance 990s, and others it's shoes like G Fazos or Air Forces. And I would say the similarities with all these shoes is they're cheap shoes that are still stylish. Because a lot of time hood dudes be spamming these shoes until they come up. Now if you see a bunch of dudes and the majority of them got on bubble coats, then they're usually from the hood. I know this probably apply mostly up north because it don't get cold in like Florida or Texas or whatever. But up here, yeah, hood dudes love bubble coats. If you see somebody wearing 2 of these, then they're probably a hood dude. And not all hood dudes be on bad timing. But if somebody wearing all 3, watch out because they're probably an Avengers level threat.
Okay.
I made a post the other day speculating about the cuts on Donald Trump's hand, the lesions that he had. And I wasn't the only one because it was a big enough story that the Trump camp had to come out and explain it. Now, when I first made that post, a lot of Trump supporters came out very quickly and said, it's just golf blisters. Nothing to see here. Easily explained. Stop making something out of nothing. But if you look closely, they're on his fingertips, on his index finger and his thumb. And unless I've been holding a golf club really fucking wrong for my entire life, you don't get golf blisters on your fingertips. So the Trump camp explained it as it's simply paper cuts that he then smeared blood on the rest of his hand. If you believe that, you've never had a paper cut. So all that tells me is that the real reason for these lesions on his hand is something politically embarrassing. Now, the speculation has been some sort of STD, like syphilis or HPV or something else. I don't think that's what it is. I think what really happened is Donald Trump is old, and old people fall sometimes. Donald Trump is old and losing his faculties, and he had a fall and tried to catch himself, and that's how he got the cuts on his hand. And he doesn't want to admit that to the public.
We're talking about Donald Trump being old. Biden is like the most fucking fragile, old, fucking douchebag president we've ever had. This motherfucker can't say a whole sentence without fucking up. That's crazy.
I made a post.
Okay.
I'm dating a skonka, and every fool in the hood hit it like a piñata. So when it's my turn to take a swing, the hole is too big.
Yo.
I'm dating a skonka, and she gets all of her ex-boyfriend's names tatted on her body. Hopefully I'm next. I'm dating a skonka, and she tells me she's been through a lot. I tell her, nah, Heina. A lot of fools been through you. I'm dating a skonka, and she spends all her child support money on me. Sorry, kids. I'm the reason you're not getting a PS5 this Christmas. I'm dating a skonka, and if you break her heart, she's got a long list of guy friends who will break your legs. I'm dating a skonka, and every time I go to jail, she bails me out. Even though the only...
I like mushrooms. Have you ever done mushrooms?
No.
Okay, you should do mushrooms. You would actually really enjoy them. So I have a thesis for psilocybin mushrooms, and I like mushrooms.
What the fuck
Have you ever
was
done
that?
mushrooms?
Really the whole thing?
No.
Okay, you should do mushrooms. You would actually really enjoy them. So I have a thesis for psilocybin mushrooms, and I'm just going to put this out there. But Japanese scientist Paul Stamets, who's the leading expert on mushrooms, observed that there's an experiment that Japanese scientists did, and what they did is there was a labyrinth that represented the Tokyo subway system. And they planted mycelium, aka the mushroom, and they placed food on the other side of this virtual toy version of the subway system. And the mycelium, through time, found a more optimized way of finding the endpoint than the engineers had crafted the Tokyo underground metro system. So the entire Japanese current metro system is based on the mycelium network's movement because it is intelligent. So when you consume the mushroom, you're actually tapping into data sets in truth that come from the
Interesting.
earth. I like mushrooms.
Can I have $40,000?
To do what with?
I just want $40,000.
You like money a lot.
Well, it's 'cause I
I
don't
learned
have
that from
any.
your last interview.
Yeah, well, I don't have any. I just think that you should give me $20,000.
I mean, I could,
I know you could.
but it was just at a bad example.
Why? Because other people would ask you for
Yeah,
20,000.
every podcaster on the planet.
Okay, let's just say right now on the record, no, he's not going to be giving me any money. Okay, and then off the record, can you give me $20,000?
Under the table, like.
Yeah.
You really think I'm an under the table guy?
Yeah.
I'm not.
But please.
That's fucking sad. It's fantastic.
10,000. No. How much money means nothing to you?
Jeez.
Like, what's an amount that you can just hand out and you're just like,
Wow.
no biggie?
Fuck, seriously?
I don't know. I feel like I don't want to be. I don't want to sound.
Oh my gosh, it's that
inconsiderate.
much? Okay, whatever the number is, can you give it to me?
Sure.
Wow.
You can.
Yeah. I'll get it for you right now.
Are you fucking serious, bro?
Can I
This
have
chick
40,000?
is wild.
By age 35, you should be smart enough to know these 7 things.
Let's do it. What's going on?
1. Stay silent. Not everything needs to be said. 2. If you find someone smarter than you, work with them. Don't compete. Competition is a weakness. 3. The family you create is more important than the family you come from. If you're smart enough to know the first 3, then you're smart enough to hit that red plus button on my photo. The last few is where you will get stumped. 4. Your current job doesn't care about you. They only pay you enough to kill your dreams.
This is true.
5. It's better to have one friend who's happy for you, supports your wins, and encourages your dreams, than to have many acquaintances that are lazy, self-centered, and jealous of your success. 6. You'll be 10 times happier if you forgive your parents instead of blaming
That's true.
them. And lastly, number 7. You don't need to read 100 self-help books. You just need to take action and have discipline. Comment 100 if this message helped you in any way.
I think he's right about the whole forgiving your parents thing. My parents were for sure just like me, with less help than I have today, for going about their lives. And I have more opportunity because I have the internet, and I have friends who have the internet, people who have more solutions in front of us today. So our parents sucked because they didn't have the right people around them. Like, we have kind of more resources than they had at our age. So that was partly true.
I told someone the other day, if you want a friend, get a dog. Faithful. Women need to study dogs. When one guy said to me, women are such dogs, I'm like, no, they're not. Dogs are faithful. Women are cats. Aloof, come around when they want something, act with no rhyme or reason, snuggle up to you, are warm, act like they love you, they enjoy the treats, and then they go sleep somewhere else. Gentlemen,
Okay.
Come and put that puss on me, like that nigga Top said. I don't really fuck with dots, it's just something about the head. While they Hitler grew them locks, now I call them mop head. You can't say horse my eye
Move it on.
if that nigga not dead.
The pendulum is swinging back when it comes to TikTok growth. Now, when trying to succeed in any market, in any niche, anything you're trying to do, the best thing you can do is actually look at the opposite of what other people are doing. Let me go ahead and give you an example about society, something that was pushed on me by society. For me, graduating somewhere, early 2010s, and there were a lot of parents that were pushing their children to be doctors and lawyers and accountants, and there was an abundance of people that were getting pushed in this direction to do four-year school and get these educations, where there were some other people that were pushed to the trades because they didn't like school, but they were the minority, and they almost got looked at as subpar because they went into the trades rather than trying to be a professional. But now in society, we have so many people that are competing for so few spots as professionals, and there is so much need for tradesmen that tradesmen are now getting paid as much or more as some lawyers and accountants right now. And if you understood that being true to yourself and looking at things as a whole and looking at things where people are looking less would benefit you even more than trying to push yourself to do something that you're not just because everybody else is doing it. And now that pendulum on society is swinging back, where you don't have to go ahead and get an 8-year degree. You can go ahead and be a tradesman. You can go ahead and learn on the job. You go ahead and be a content creator and make a full-time living that way as well. The same would go with school. Back, 20, 30, 40 years ago, college was a better ROI, but the pendulum's swinging back where maybe it's not such a good ROI to spend $100K to get a $60,000 paying job. The same goes here with TikTok growth. You have short videos that used to win trending dances, trending sounds, trending hashtags, and now the pendulum's starting to hit that point where it's coming back, where videos are getting longer, videos are getting more authentic, less editing, more content. The reason, for example, on YouTube, I've seen these 4 videos get over 100,000 views, and they're all in one clip, and they're all over 40 minutes long. The landscape is changing for video in general, and I want you guys to understand that.
Interesting. I have seen a lot of people talk
This is the one.
Making like 1-hour videos and one hour content videos and splitting them up into like 5 or 6 smaller videos or 10 smaller videos and putting them on TikTok and creating more views that way by paying TikTok for, TikTok will kind of, if you pay TikTok to advertise your videos, they get you more views, which in turn sends more people to your content, your original content. All right, the true story of humanity, the true origin of humanity. Let's watch.
This explains our purpose on Earth if it's true. Y'all couldn't stop asking me about it, so here you go. I can't even say it. Who are the Anunnaki? Simple terms, they're the true OG creation myth as recorded by the ancient Sumerians, who are widely regarded as the first ever civilization in history. Predating even the Egyptians, the Sumerians existed about 6,000 years ago. And in 1849, our whole understanding of ancient history was shattered when 14 tablets over 4,000 years old were uncovered in their region of Mesopotamia. Y'all ready for this one? Because these tablets pretty much explain our purpose on Earth in the most clear-cut way possible. This is the story of the Anunnaki, the Eridu Genesis. So, 445,000 years ago, yes, I said that number correctly, supposed creator gods came to Earth in search of resources. The Anunnaki, whose name can be taken to mean those from which heaven to Earth came. They came from another world called Nibiru, one that visits Earth every 3,600 years, ruled by their king Anu. Now here's the first red flag. Another planet visiting ours this infrequently is impossible, right? Not according to NASA. In fact, they've been finding evidence of this planet for years. Except they call it Planet X, or Planet 9, and many top-ranking researchers analyzed data and pretty much all but confirmed its existence. And the reason we can't see it is because its orbit looks like this. A super elongated path around the sun that only gets close to Earth every 3,600 years. And we know orbits like this are physically possible, as they've observed in other exoplanets. Anyway, story goes on to say that living conditions on Nibiru deteriorated and became hostile. So the Anunnaki came down to Earth for some goods, specifically water and gold, which apparently helps restore their planet's health. Now, it might just be a coincidence, but gold is actually used in modern spacecraft to shield from radiation, so were the Sumerians aware of that? They established a base on Earth called Eridu, made for collecting these resources in the Persian Gulf. They send down Enki, Anu's son, to lead this expedition and rule over Eridu. With him, he brought the Igigi, another race of demigods who were essentially their slaves to gather the gold and water they needed. Now, the Igigi were down bad after 250,000 years of slave labor with little rewards, so they revolted but lost, and now the Anunnaki had no workers. So Anu orders Enki to create a new slave race, intelligent yet obedient. Enki combines his essence with a species of cave-dwelling savages that exist on Earth at this time. That would be Homo erectus, our prehistoric ancestors. And through this process, he created humans, us, Homo sapiens. Now, this combining of essence is taken to be interpreted as genetic engineering. Sounds absolutely ridiculous, I know, but y'all remember Bob Lazar? The whistleblower on all that UFO, space tech, and aliens, which literally all turned out to be true? Just listen to what he had to say about certain classified documents regarding genetic engineering.
There is an extremely classified document dealing with religion, and it's about that sect, saying basically that
basically that we're a product of genetic engineering from someone.
Yeah. How can you just swallow that whole.
I don't know about you, but he clearly seemed genuinely uncomfortable talking about this, and I can't think of any reason he'd have to lie about it. So in the tablets, they called this new species the first men, translated to Adamu. Now in Hebrew, Adam translates to man, so Adamu was taken to mean men of Adam. Does that name sound familiar to you? Reminder that these tablets were dated to around 2400 BC, a whole 1,000 years before the book of Genesis was first said to be written. These new genetic hybrid humans started working the mines in place of the original Ijiji, which in return for their work were educated with the gift of civilization. Language, agriculture, governing, housing, technology, medicine. Some Anunnaki got a little close with the humans and bred with them. Yes, that's exactly what you think it means, and gave birth to giants, even though they were specifically instructed to not procreate with them. At this point, there's a new leader in charge, Enlil, who was Enki's brother, and he wasn't having any of this debauchery. But no biggie, because he had a population control plan in place. A cataclysmic event that wipes humanity from the Earth, said to be caused by Nibiru's gravitational effect on Earth, aka the Great Flood. How convenient. Enlil took this opportunity to dip back to Nibiru so that Earth can be rid of all these unworthy inhabitants. The translations claim that Enlil and his crew left in their celestial boats that took them to the sky and circled Earth. Hey, that sounds like spaceships, rockets, and orbits to me. But Enki felt more sympathy, so he instructed some chosen humans to build boats so they can survive the flood. Noah's Ark, anyone? The flooding lasted for 7 days, yet another creation story told by almost every other culture of our past. There is countless proof of this intense flooding all around the world, but that's a rabbit hole for another time. The small number of humans that survived the flood started to rebuild civilization. Enki and other Anunnaki helped them rebuild in all corners of the Earth, which is said to have given rise to the pyramids, megaliths, and advanced masonry techniques that we see all over the world. And eventually they left Earth and they had one civilization that was more advanced than the rest. This were the Sumerians. This exact story is even told in the Atrahasis of the Akkadians and the Enuma Elish from the Babylonians. Now this is where it gets trippy. The Anunnaki appointed kings, humans that acted as their representatives on Earth to make sure that the people still lived under their control, whose ruling authority would be passed down every generation in what would become the elite class as we know today. You know, Rothschilds, Illuminati, royal family, Freemasons, whatever you want to call it. And it's how they continued to rule Earth for thousands of years to this day from a planet far ass away. Basically, the story claims that we're a genetically engineered species that were designed as slaves to serve a ruling class. And we really do see this slave master paradigm all throughout history. Up until the last couple hundred years, the entire world population was divided into a peasant class and an upper class of royals, nobles, the rulers, kings, emperors, shoguns, and the plebs they rule over. But today, things are different. Or are they? Did the peasant class just become the modern day working class? And the ruling class now work behind the scenes in an attempt to give us the illusion of freedom?
I really like that story. I feel like it seems legit. But there's some different theories that I had read about where the Anunnaki kind of placed a gene in human beings that caused them to worship something that's above or something that feels external to our bodies. So we created different gods, and a lot of those gods just represent different Anunnaki personalities or personalities of different Anunnaki beings that came to the planet Earth. For example, we worship like our Christian God, but there was also a couple of thousands of years ago, people were worshiping Set, and our Christian God is a idealization, or it's kind of like the same story that Set had. It's basically like the same type of story, but they're giving different names, and we worship a god similar to the god that our ancestors worshipped. But it's basically an Anunnaki that we were told was a god. And we still have that gene that tells us to worship, but I like the Anunnaki theory. It's one of my favorite theories of all time. For the creation of mankind.
What's your biggest ick in a guy?
Like when they... No, okay.
Say it, say it.
No.
Run it.
That was so mean. I was gonna say if they're like really nice.
And to all of you watching here, come close to the screen and listen. People don't have to like you. People don't have to love you. They don't even have to respect you. But when you look in the mirror, you better love what you see.
People who immediately respond to your text are not desperate. People who immediately respond to your call are not desperate. People who are always there for you when you need them are not always free or jobless. Maybe they understand how it feels to be ignored. Maybe they know what it feels like to be left alone. Because maybe they were left alone when they needed someone. Maybe they love you. Maybe they made you their priority. Never take them for granted, please. Never lose them. They are gold.
It's pretty loving, and that's like a really uplifting messages. I like that. I like it. Yeah, people who answer your texts, people who answer your calls right away, those are really good people to keep around. And if you overlook those people, that's on you. I really like that advice anyway.
I don't even know what to say to that.
It's massive. We're a walking universal library. We are the way for the universe to figure out and explore the third dimension and understand what it's like to be and live in the third dimension as every individual living thing. And we're all connected through this quantum entanglement. Every single thing that exists is all connected, still connected. Space is an illusion. Distance is an illusion. Separation is all an illusion.
What do you mean it's an illusion?
We appear to be sitting in two separate chairs with a space in between us.
Mm-hmm.
But we're all atoms on an energetic grid that's connected and has always been connected. So the space in between us appears to be a distance, but if you go on the quantum level, you discover that we're both local. We're still in the same position, which is the original position. This entire universe is made up of a complete holography. We're living in a fractal holographic matrix, a matrix of light. And it doesn't take away from there being a creator, because what I'm telling you about is the method used of this to make this creation. The method is a fractal holographic matrix, a matrix of light. Quantum physicists will tell you that a human being exists both as a wave of light and also solid matter. And they got the first image of a wave converting into solid matter on a special type of camera. This is in physics.org. So in wave particle duality, they discovered that everything in the entire universe exists first as waves of light until a conscious observer interacts with it, and then it collapses. This is hard to wrap your mind around, but imagine this. We're sitting here. Your house, it exists as a wave of potentials, not your house. It's a wave of light. Now, the construction technique of the stacking of those atoms that built your house has a specific resonant frequency, so no matter who looks at it, it always collapses into the same exact shape. But if nobody's looking, it's just a wave of potentials. Until you see it, when you bend the corner, it collapses back into a solid structure. This is now well-known, proven science due to the double slit experiment. If you look that up, you'll find out they took a microscopic box, they put a little gun inside that can shoot individual electrons through slits inside the box to hit the back wall. So the two slits here, and they want these particles to hit the back wall to see if it was going to make a digital imprint on the back wall. Well, when they did this, when they looked, it was waves. So I said, wait a minute, how can there be a wave pattern on the back wall? We shot individual single electrons through the slits. There should be dot, 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 dot. I said, we got to look at this and see what's going on. So they put a camera in the box to see what was happening. When they looked, just looking, all of a sudden the electron said, oh, you're looking at me? Okay, I'm going to go back to being solid matter now. Dot, 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 dot. Took the camera away, waves. Put the camera back, dot, 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 dot. Oh, electrons are conscious. They are aware that they're being observed. And electrons orbit every atom in the universe, which means every atom is conscious. That means you think that you're sitting in a chair that's just made by man. We didn't make this chair. We stacked atoms. We stacked conscious atoms in a format that allowed us to sit on them. Everything is conscious. This chair is conscious. This suit is conscious. Everything is conscious.
Yeah.
Because they're all made of atoms. And all we are ourselves are a stack of conscious atoms observing ourselves right now.
On some level, he's correct, completely correct. I'm not saying that he's wrong on any other level. I just haven't finished listening to this. But there's a theory called the unified field, and the unified field theory says that deep down between every bit of matter, there's cells, there's atoms, but all of those small particles are conscious in their own way, creating a massive super consciousness that the universe is made out of. And the unified field theory is the theory that everything has consciousness. They call it a superconscious. And a lot of people say that's the God particle. A lot of people say that that's God himself, that's God itself, or whatever it may be. Some people call it some people call it the spirit river. Some people call it different things, but that I like the idea of a massive super unified consciousness. I dig that.
You see? And so it gets really deep, man. I can go deeper and deeper, but it's pretty powerful stuff.
Keep going. Keep going.
So the benefit of knowing this, imagine teaching your kids that everything that exists is conscious. A rock, a blade of grass, your clothing, even your book bag is aware. It's conscious. Imagine teaching them how to respect conscious things, the level of respect they will have for their personal items, their bike, their clothing, their book bag, their schoolwork. Understanding and knowing that everything that they interact with, everything they touch or see has a level of consciousness imbued into it. Now you're training your kid to be a super conscious person that understands, like, treat everything that exists, no matter whether we think man made it or it's natural, with respect and dignity. That's the depth of understanding that people need to get to. And when we can get to that level of understanding, wow.
So if we're all, I mean, in which we are, I do understand, if we're all stacked atoms, stacked conscious atoms,
yep.
What holds us together?
Electromagnetic forces. That's what holds us together. You don't touch anything. So I may look like I'm touching this chair right now, right? I'm not actually touching the chair. You actually never touch anything. The repulsion of the electromagnetic frequency orbiting the electrons and atoms in my hand are repelling the ones inside the chair, creating a repulsive force, not allowing my hand to pass through the chair, because honestly, atoms are 99.999% empty space. And so what that means is atoms are mostly empty. There's nothing there. The only thing we have is these electromagnetic fields that give us the illusion of separation and solidity. And so if I can obtain the atomic frequency of the vibration of the atoms in this chair and make my hand match that frequency, I would pass my hand right through the chair like it didn't even exist. So there's probably people, beings, maybe on other planets or maybe even here now, that have learned this technique. We're going to match the frequency of this wall and just walk right through. Imagine the military puts on a special suit that can match the frequency of a solid concrete wall and walk right through the wall. It's going to look like magic, but it's just technology. You see, they understand how to match frequencies. If I took all 8 billion people on Earth and took away the empty space in their atoms, I can fit every human being into one sugar cube. There's nothing here. We're not even here. That's how it's really our higher selves. See, our consciousness doesn't exist. It's not created by the brain, I should say. It exists, but it's not created by the brain. It exists in a higher dimension. It's here in the third dimension now because it's inhabiting this avatar body, but it's coming in on a screen, on a beam of light, on an invisible beam. We're inhabiting this avatar body. If you understand that your body doesn't create the consciousness, it downloads it. And what downloads it into your body? You have your neurocorrelates of consciousness, which are 3 giant neurons that wrap around the inside of the skull like a giant crown of thorns. Sound familiar? Everyone walks around with a crown of thorns in their head right now. And then you have your neocortex in the front, which is for spatial and higher reasoning. And then you have your magnetite crystals. And so those 3 things together harness and hold in the frequency that is you, that is saying, this is who I am. And it allows you to inhabit temporally, this avatar body until this avatar body gives out and ceases to operate and exist because of entropy, and releases that spirit energy back into the source, where it will then be recycled once again somewhere else. And so this, the understanding of this is just so powerful, because you got to understand that you are already eternal. We're already eternal beings. When you talk to yourself, you're talking to your higher self from a higher dimension. You're speaking to yourself in another realm. We are all supernatural, eternal beings. A lot of people are trying to fight to become eternal, but we already are eternal. We've already been here for eons and eons. There could be people that you know that look like kids that are ancient. And there also can be people that are older people that are newborn babies spiritually. Could be their first time arriving here in this energy format.
You're talking about old souls.
Old souls, right. Exactly. Old souls. There could be a kid that could be ancient, could be eons old. And there could be a lady that could be 70, that could be brand new. First cycle here, first time operating in this energy, in this spiritual energy, in this dimension. You know, so it's a lot to grasp. I know I threw a lot at you at once, but it's such a huge story. I think it's really amazing. For me, it makes me feel more incredible. I feel like I'm part of something super massive and big. I don't think it makes me feel small at all. I feel like because everything is connected, that everything is me and everything is you. If I'm talking to you, I'm really talking to myself. There's only one consciousness that exists.
Well, that was actually a question I wanted to ask you. Do you think that we share consciousness?
Absolutely.
Well, then, if we share consciousness, why is there good and evil?
That was pretty interesting. I like a lot of the thoughts that the gentleman had said in the video. I really love the idea of a super consciousness. I really love the idea of the unified field, which you didn't mention, but I did mention. I think that we all kind of are similar to each other, way more similar than we could ever imagine. Obviously, we're all just separate entities with separate perspectives of the same. You know, we all have like the same information in front of us, we just have different perspectives, and a lot of our physical bodies are different, our brains are different, so we comprehend things at different values, but we're all a part of the same consciousness. We're all kind of viewing things almost extremely similarly with slight variances, and I really like that video. I'm glad that came up, actually.
The definition from our point of view of a pattern or a habit is something you do that you don't know you're doing. If you know you're doing it, it's not a pattern or a habit anymore. It's a choice. So you would ask the question, well, why would I choose something I don't prefer? Great question. Now you have something to work with. But if you just say, it's a pattern, it's a habit, I can't help it, you have nothing to work with.
So then, like someone...
One moment.
Okay, sorry.
One moment. That's all right.
Yeah.
Many people on your planet are taught to think, well, now that I've discovered the pattern, now that I've discovered the habit, now what do I do to let it go? The recognition of the pattern, the recognition of the habit is the end of the process, not the beginning of letting it go. You have to be outside the forest to look back and see that it was a forest. Otherwise, it's just trees. Do you understand?
Yes.
So when you say, oh, a habit, it's done, it's gone, because you're outside of it in order to be able to see it. If you keep doing the same thing, it's not because it's a habit, it's because you're choosing to. Why would you choose to do something you don't prefer? Because you have a definition attached to it that says it is the thing that benefits you the most. Does that make sense? Not at all. So find out what the definition is that makes no sense, that you've attached to the thing you prefer that prevents you from acting on it. That's how it works. You all have the same motivational mechanism. It's unerring, it's automatic, it's immediate. You use it flawlessly. There are no exceptions. You always move in the direction of what you believe benefits you. You always move away from what you believe does not. The issue is what you believe benefits you or what you believe does not. You can empirically, intellectually know that something is not beneficial and yet see yourself still choosing it. But the idea is the only reason you would do that is because somewhere in your motivational mechanism, you're telling yourself that the alternative is more frightening. You've somehow attached a definition to the thing you prefer that makes it actually seem to be the less scary thing to do. And so you stay with the thing you don't want to do because in your mind you have a definition that to be yourself is scarier. When you find out what that definition is that's making you run away from who you really are, and you identify it, you will see it's nonsensical and illogical, and you'll drop it. And then you will move in the direction of what you prefer instead of in the direction of what you don't. The definition from our point of view of a pattern or a habit is something you do that you don't know you're doing.
It's scientifically proven that one of the best ways to see how a guy's mind works, to really get those neurons firing, ask him what's the biggest animal he can beat in a fight, and I promise you, you'll expeditiously find out what type of man you're dealing with. They even did a survey.
Shit.
Quite a lot to unpack here. Off rip, my eyes immediately drawn to the 8% of people that think they could slapbox a lion and live. I've seen lions take down buffalo over 1,000 pounds, but Buddy thinks because he benches 2 plates he can murk Mufasa. Then you got the 6% that believe they could beat a bear, no, a grizzly bear, in a fist fight. Ignoring the fact that if that paw tells you to keep his wife's name out your mouth, you're getting erased from the population. Just look at this.
Jeez.
This is why women have a longer shelf life than men. The irrational confidence of thinking you can have any say in the outcome of this situation is wild. And then you got the 17% that think they can fight a chimp. Let me tell you, not only would a chimp beat you like a dirty rug with one hand, a chimp would literally beat you with one hand. As in rip your right arm off and beat you with it. Nah, but the most interesting thing here is the 28% of people that would apparently get folded by Stuart Little. That's more than a quarter of people not confident in their abilities against a rodent. The human mind is an interesting place, the more you know.
What a fucking jerk.
Because every night you go out of your body. Everybody does.
Sometimes when you go to sleep and dream, you're not just imagining a random world inside your mind. You're actually leaving your body and entering either the etheric plane or the astral plane. Now obviously that's going to need some explaining to do, but first, story time. When I was a little kid, I used to tell my mom some very weird things. And we likely all did this, but my mom was very open-minded. So when I used to say something out of the ordinary, she always remembered, because she thought maybe it had some truth to it. And good thing she did, because when I was 4 years old, I told her this. I told her that at night, I left my body through my belly button, and I flew around the house with what I called my angel. Now, according to Dolores Cannon, what's going on here is that I actually left my physical body in the physical plane and entered my etheric body in the etheric plane. The etheric plane is basically a complete copy of the physical plane. But when you're there, you're in your etheric body rather than in your physical body. Which means you can actually float away from your physical body and go anywhere you want to. From around your house to any other place in the world and even outer space. So if you've ever woken up one day with vague memories of flying around your house or anywhere in the world, you're not remembering a dream. You're remembering an etheric projection. Another interesting thing about the etheric plane is that sometimes people who die very negatively or who are too attached to their physical body upon death actually go there when they die. They often just roam in their etheric body, sometimes not even realizing that they died. In fact, this is perfectly portrayed in the movie The Sixth Sense, where the little kid could see the etheric bodies of people that had a very traumatic death. According to Dolores Cannon, these individuals will often roam here for a little bit until their spirit guide actually comes to get them so they can go where they're supposed to go, which is the astral plane. Now the astral plane is one level above the etheric plane. The energy there is a lot more subtle than in the physical or etheric plane. This makes it very easy to manipulate with your own thoughts. You know those times where you said you had a dream where what you were thinking about the night before actually manifested in your dream? You weren't actually recalling a dream. You were vaguely remembering an astral projection. And for all those knowledge seekers trying to learn more about this, I suggest checking out my Amazon idea list where I have all my favorite books on these subjects. You guys already...
It's pretty cool. I like the idea of the ethereal plane. In fact, I think there's some truth to that. I've had some dreams in the past where like I could see things that were going on with other people, and I would reach out to these people and I would talk to them about my dreams, but I wouldn't quite tell them that I had a dream about them, but I would ask them a couple questions and they'd give me some answers, and the answers usually corresponded with what I was dreaming. And then later on I would tell them what I dreamt about, and we would kind of sit there and be like, what the fuck, that's crazy, that's so weird, you know. But I think like when people dream, certain people who are in touch with their spiritual energy, certain people who have learned how to grow their spirit, they literally tap into like something as far as like, it's like having an antenna above you. It's like your third eye is tapping into some frequency that most people can't see to, because most people are trapped in what I call the spirit box. Most people are trapped in their fears, their past, their neuroses, their desires, the things that they lust after, the drugs that they want, the alcoholism, the anger, the emotions. Those are things that are boxing them in to where their spirit can't grow. And once people learn how to see past those things, they can actually tap into something greater than themselves. And I think that's where like psychic abilities come. I think that's where the what do they call it, astral projection comes. And I really believe that that's true. But I think in order to tap into those abilities as human beings, we need to learn how to get past certain certain issues that we have with ourselves. And like I said, it's drug use, it's childhood trauma, emotional issues, neurological issues, anger, fear, a lot of things that we have to learn how to develop ways to get past those issues. Once we break down those walls, we can see outside the spirit box. There's a lot of things that we obtain when we get past those. We obtain gratitude. We become happier. We become more in touch with nature. We become more in touch with our own spirit. We become able to feel our spirits, and we really get the ability to see something greater than what most human beings are able to see. But most human beings, the older they get, the least, I would say, the least possible it is for them to see outside of the things that they've been growing up to think. So it's hard to teach people to look past their desires, the things that they lust after, the things that they think about every single day for years and decades on end. So it takes like somebody, I think it took like for me to get out of drug addiction and to hit rock bottom to completely reform my thinking process and have the spiritual awakenings and reconfigure my thinking patterns and reconfigure the neuroplasticity in my brain. And it opened up the space that's necessary to have to be able to tap into these gifts. So I think I've astral projected a couple times, and life kind of just comes back at you and it gets back into your mind. So whatever ability I think I might have had, I think I might have lost because I jumped back into the rat race, started working more, chasing after bills, chasing money, chasing relationships, and now I'm trying to separate myself again from those issues. Trying to separate myself from relationships, trying to clean up my mind. I'm not on any substances. I might drink once in a while, but I'm trying to get back to that place where I can have the spiritual awakening and feel those gifts again, tap into that that frequency. And I think once you tap into that frequency, you start to touch other people's minds. And you start to attract people towards you that are also tapped into that frequency, because I've had like really great conversations when I felt like I was touching that frequency with other people. And ever since I like lost track of that feeling, I haven't had those conversations with other people. But when I had that like spiritual awakening, and when I was like in the height of feeling tapped into that spiritual energy, and when I was like touching that frequency with my third eye, I guess you would say, people would just show up in my life and we'd have conversations about these things, and we felt similarly towards these ideas. And but yeah, I call it the spirit box. So again, when your past is right here in front of your mind's eye, and your fears and your emotions and your neurosis and your mental blockages and your lust and the things that you're after, the things that you want, and your desires, that's when you're in the spirit box. That's when your spirit can't grow unless you get those things, or you fix those issues, or you get what you want. Then you feel like your spirit might be growing, but really you're just getting something, and you're not actually, your spirit might not really be growing. You might just be satisfied because you got something that you've been wanting. But once you see past the idea of like, I want something, so it's going to make me feel good. Once you don't need that to feel good, and you just feel good about existing in general, your spirit has the ability to grow and become greater and greater and greater. And when your spirit grows and becomes greater without having any lust for anything, without having drugs in your system, without needing people, without needing chips that are serving our ego, without having these material things that feed our ego and our desires. Once you can grow your spirit without those things. And I think it really just takes a lot of reading and information. Once you learn how to feed your mind and feed your spirit and your body and your mind connect, and you're able to tap into these psychic abilities. And I know that sounds crazy, but I really believe that that's a thing. But I don't think enough people search for this knowledge. I don't think enough people are understanding that this knowledge is actually available, or that these things are actually realistic, because society is just headed in a way different direction than what's actually possible for us. Of course, we all need to pay bills. We all need to eat every day. We all need to take care of our families. But when it comes to like our spirit and our spiritual existence and growing the spirit and being able to tap into these frequencies, like a radio taps into a frequency when it has the right technology and the right antennas. And that's kind of the same way our brains work. That's kind of the same way our spirit and our body and our minds and our flesh, when we get it all technically aligned correctly, we have that ability. But I mean, I guess that was the end of this episode. We'll probably talk more about this. I'll probably talk about this with other people. That'd be really interesting to talk about with other people in the room. But anyway, this is the Doom Scrolls. It's kind of just another random TikTok episode that I started off with some bullshit at the beginning, but I enjoyed this one. It reminds me of a lot of stuff I want to talk about when I get some people in here. But I'm Chris. Thanks for watching. If you're watching, let me know. Leave some messages, some comments, hate mail, whatever you want to leave. I enjoy it all. Appreciate you joining me here.